in your isolation period so you can actually achieve your goals. The reason why you have to be set apart, the reason why you're being separated is so you're no longer distracted. If you said that you want to move, if you said that you want to build a house, if you said you want to go back to school, then you actually have to do those things. If the opportunity is not handed to you, you have to create it. So with that being said, welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance. Let's just get straight into today's video. Isolation is mandatory. And the reason why it seems challenging and difficult is because you're refusing to do the work. That is it. That is all. Speaking from experience, what has helped me along my healing journey in my isolation period was to accept the fact that if I want to level up, if I want to have new, if I want to step into the unknown, I have to be okay with letting go of things that I was familiar with. This includes people, places, phases, stages, environments, education, finances, and be open to a new way of thinking, to be open to expand myself in these areas, psychologically, physically, financially, mentally, spiritually, howeverly. When you decide to do something that you've never done before, that requires you to make choices that you're not used to doing, which means if you're used to being around a whole bunch of people and it requires you to separate yourself, you have to be okay with creating distance. If you're used to being in an environment where it's really big and you want to downsize, you have to be okay with being around a whole bunch of cultures and community. You have to be able to change. You have to be able to adapt. But in order for you to make these changes and have these adaptations, hopefully that's the word, you adapt to your situations, you have to be separated. Most importantly, how do you expect to execute your plan if you don't know what you're doing? You see, the isolation period is for you to get the instructions. The isolation period is for you to get the directions. We have a destination that we want to go through. And during our journey, it could take years, it could take months, it could take days, it could take however long it needs to. So you're being isolated so you don't have to compare yourself to what everybody else is doing. Yes, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, but everyone does not see the same things in life. Everyone does not hear what you hear. Everyone doesn't have the same level of education and finances and resources. We have to work with what we have. And during this isolation period, we realize what we are equipped with and what we're going to have to learn throughout our journey. Look at your life as a movie or a book. You have the beginning, the middle, the end. There are different chapters, there are different seasons, there are different plots, there are different scenes, and same thing with the people in your life. When you start off at the age of being born into this world, where you were in elementary school, where you were in middle school, where you are in high school, if you go to college, university, right? You are going to grow. So you're in your isolation period because in order for you to be a butterfly, you have to go through your cocoon season. You have to be in hibernation. You have to be in hermit mode, right? You have to be able to separate yourself and unprogram and unwind anything that is no longer serving you. And you're shedding, you're growing, you're evolving. Isolation is for you to be level-headed, to gain the wisdom, to have the discernment, and not be surrounded by things that are not going to upgrade you into the next area of your life. You see, people like to say new levels, new devils. You don't know what is going to happen to you if you are not aware of where you are and what it is that you're coming from. You see, the past, the future, and right now is all connected based off of the choices that we make, based off of the exposure that we allow ourselves to witness, that we allow ourselves to hear, that we're involving and engaging with. So anything that you learned previously up until this day was for you to reflect, was for you to decide what resonates with you and what's no longer going to be a part of your current reality. So today is the only day that matters. You see, all of it is connected, but you can only be present. So the whole purpose of you being in the isolation period is to take every single day for what it is. Because you can't compare your journey to anybody else's, you don't have to rush. Your isolation period is not for you to feel lonely, but to figure out who you are. The isolation period is for you to gain confidence in the wisdom and the discernment. So therefore, when it's time for you to move, when it's time for you to get that job, when it's time for you to open that business, when it's time for you to deliver that baby, when it's time for you to go back to school, when it's time for you to purchase a car, purchase a house, do whatever it is that you're doing, you know what to do. You know how to maintain what it is that you're asking for. It does not make sense to be in an isolation period and not be educated, not be aware, because what happens is you can easily get the things that you want, but you may not be prepared. You may not be ready. You may not understand the responsibilities that come with it, and you lose it all. So do not try to avoid your isolation period. If you say you want to start your journey on a diet, you have to be okay with going to the gym. You have to be okay with working out. You have to be okay with cutting off certain foods. Yes, in the beginning, it's only going to be challenging and difficult because you're used to eating a certain type of way. You've been used to watching and surrounding yourself with certain type of information about diet and exercising. It could be fear. It could be projections. It could be things that make you feel uncertain, but you have to be able to trust yourself. That's the whole purpose of your isolation period, is to gain confidence in yourself, knowing that you cutting off certain foods, you starting to implement certain foods, you starting to exercise is going to help you. It's not for you to be wishy-washy. So if you're wishy-washy, if you're doubting yourself, if you're insecure, if you're envious and you're in lack, the isolation period is going to prepare you. You have to understand that there are going to be things in your life that are not for you. And because people are lost and because people are unaware and not uneducated, some people, places, and things may present itself to you. That doesn't mean it's for you. Just because you have a certain energy doesn't mean everybody is going to resonate with you, including myself. Take what resonates, leave the rest. You have to be able to be aware and deny anything that's not for you. So if your journey is to lose weight, and you know you're not supposed to be eating certain sugars and sweets, and people are presenting cookies and pies and cakes, you have to be able to say no. You have to be able to deny anything that's not for you. And the more you deny people, places, and things are not for you, you can get to where you need to be. That's why people say demons and distractions, when we are all reflections. But everything that we see may not be for us, because there's so many different walks of life on this world. And without getting too biblical or too spiritual, your isolation period is for you to figure out what you want to do in this life, because you're in control. Other than if you believe in God, ancestors, the universe, you guys know I don't force religion or spirituality on people, because you can't. Nobody gets to tell people what they want to do. At the end of the day, if people want to do right, they will. Of course, I don't condone any negative energy, harm, or destruction towards ourselves and other people, but I'm only one person, and the people who choose to resonate with these videos are going to apply what resonates and leave the rest. Same thing with you. You don't have to listen to society, because society is a group of people trying to figure out what we're trying to do. Just because you grew up around certain people, places, and things, just because you were taught certain information, doesn't mean that information resonates with you. Doesn't mean those patterns or these behaviors and these morals maybe identify with you. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to have a mind of your own, and that's the whole purpose of your isolation period. So do not feel lonely. If you feel lonely, it's because you never sat with yourself. And the longer you try to avoid your responsibilities and the discipline that requires you to be the best version of yourself, the more you're going to feel like you're struggling, the more you're going to feel like you're in suffering. And when you decide to commit to something, like I said, it comes with responsibility. So another reason why you're in your isolation period is for you to identify what are the responsibilities. So if you decide to be a homeowner, in your isolation period, you need to be prepared of having an HOA. You need to be prepared of paying a mortgage. You got to be prepared of making sure your grass is cut. You got to be prepared making sure that you have furniture. You got to go furniture shopping. If you're building a house, you have to be able to put months, maybe years, into building your property, getting land, buying land, getting a realtor, decorating your house. It's a lot that comes with our goals. So it's not necessarily our goals that we struggle with. It's the maintenance that comes with it. Because anybody can buy a house, anybody could buy a car, anybody could become anything that they put their mind to and they work towards. And like I said in the beginning of this video, if it is not handed to you, you have to create the moment. And that's the purpose of your isolation period, is to create, is to identify your plan, is to identify your resources, is to unlearn information. And because learning is something that is very limitless, it could take, like I said, time, energy, and effort. I can't think of a word. Let me know if you have a better word. But because education is so wide, right, there's no limit. There's so many levels and stages, just like anything else. Like life is about perspective. It's going to take time. So you have to realize you letting go of certain people, places, and things that were installed in you since birth, in your 20, 30, 40, takes time, and that's why you have to sit in this isolation period. So be aware that you are going through this moment so you can grow. Like, unlearning information and learning new information and applying it is a skill, it's a journey, and it's an experience. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, and these videos resonate with you, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you're commenting down below. Turn on your post notification bell so you're subscribed. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, and these videos resonate with you, let me know if you want me to continue making topics like this, or if you have anything that you want me to address. Follow me on all social media platforms. All the information will be down in the description box below. And head to my website at TiGuidanceThisSummer.com if you have a one-on-one session or you have questions. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I go live, and on my lives, I do questions and answers. Specifically in my stories, I post polls for topics that you guys want to talk about, as well as the community section. So make sure you check that out here on YouTube. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance. But remember, isolation is mandatory. It's not an option. If you struggle with cutting off certain people, places, and things, you're going to experience that in your isolation period. Your isolation period is for you to know who you are, not for your mom to tell you who you are, not for your cousin, not for your friends, not for your coworkers, not for anybody else but you. And once you make the decisions to be you, you have to embrace yourself. You can't be afraid. You have to be okay with being an individual. A lot of people have codependency issues and attachment issues because, based off of what they've been programmed, based off of how they was raised. And this doesn't make you a bad person. Just, once again, you learn certain information doesn't mean it's going to continue to resonate with you as you grow older. You have to be okay with breaking generational cycles. You have to be okay with breaking the norm. You have to be okay with being you. Thank you for watching. Let me know if this video resonates with you, but enjoy the period of isolation because it's not permanent. You're only going to go through these moments when you need to learn the lessons. So the best thing you can do is go through it. Feel the emotions. Some days are going to be better than others. I'm not denying the fact that it may not make you feel uncomfortable, but it's not permanent, especially if you want certain things. Once you get used to your routines, once you get used to letting go of certain people, places, and things, once you realize why you're in this isolation, how it's affecting you, and you start getting the habit of doing the things that you need to do to become the best version of yourself, you will realize it's a cycle. It's a journey. So don't rush it.